Right, hello guys, watching Girl Up 2, and today we're going to talk about Series 1, Sarah Jane Smith. Let's talk about each episode and let's rank them out of 10. And yeah, let's get on to it. So, there's a lot to talk about, and we might as well just go for it. So, Sarah Jane Smith, the invasion of the Bane. So, we have Bubble Shot, drink it. I think that's an interesting idea, using these pop drinks, I guess. To basically control humans by the Bane, and the Bane also to get data off humans. They create Luke. They create Luke and Maria and Casey. Oh God, thank God we didn't get Casey in this. If you're watching, Casey, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of your character, but I guess that's the way you were written. The way you were kept in, the way you spoke and stuff like that was a bit annoying in certain scenarios, and whatever you said was just not good in my eyes. So yeah, we also have the Bane, which are interesting villains, and the creature design, and I think it kind of lives up to today's standards in a way. Like, it could be fixed a lot more, but we've given it a push. It works still. We see Sarah Jane as a mystery. The Sonic lipstick and the watch. We get to see that. We get to see Mr. Smith for the first time and how he's used. Yeah. And then we have Maria. And Maria's dad suddenly moving in over the road. And Maria starts getting intrigued and investigates and sees these flashing lights. And she goes outside and sees an alien with Sarah Jane. And she questions it and goes into this alien world, helping Sarah Jane with the bubble shock by the Bane. And the Bane are going to try and control everything. The music in this are really cool as well. And I love the reference of Unit and the Doctor with how they should name Luke Harry or stuff like that. That was a lovely reference. The Doctor got a lovely reference as well. Bubble shot, Luke. Yes, we have, just checking my notes to keep me on track. Wormwood, she's a brilliant villain who obviously returns to Sarah Jane Adventures later on. Maria's dad and mom splitting up, creating a different dynamic for a family member. I think Maria's family is pretty decent for Series 1, even in this pilot episode. Next door neighbours, Maria, yes, Bane. So we pretty much talked about most stuff, to be fair. Oh yes, and K9's basically in there for a couple minutes to basically say he's stopping a black hole, and that's about it. And I give this episode an 8 out of 10. So that episode's done. Now we're on to Sladen. Yes, we have Clyde, the beginning of Clyde now. Clyde is a student that gets caught up with Maria and Luke, that he's a new student and they befriends with, and they get detention, and then they find out Slavenes are their teachers. And there's weird coincidences with the Slevene, the farting noises, or the food's gone off sort of scenario. They also eventually in one of the scenes make the sun go blue, and using the source of the sun. I like the idea of the Slevene being teachers, and that I reckon as a kid that could make you a bit or my teacher's Slevene. A new school as well, so everyone's new to this. The food going off, I've mentioned that. Clyde, mom and dad has split up, and he hasn't saw his dad in a long while, setting up for future episodes they could delve down to with his family and learning a bit more about Clyde, you know. The power cuts. Oh yes, they had power cuts because of the Slevene working and planning on destroying the Earth, and also the candles couldn't work as well. Luke actually helped the Slevene, and then turned out he actually didn't. He made a mistake, making the machines to blow up later on, and the Slevene escaping, but some dying, and the little baby Slevene escaping with anger. Slevene cliffhanger was pretty good as well. All the main characters getting caught by Slevene, and the Unit reference and the Doctor reference. 9 out of 10. Really enjoyed the Slevene two-parter. Next up is Eye of a Gorgon. So we have this old woman who has a husband who met Sontarans and aliens, and had an alien artifact he found from the Egyptian times, and he sadly passed away 5 years ago, and then the old lady suddenly started to have memory loss and not being able to remember things, and with that into play, dementia, she basically went forgetting things, and she gives this most important item to Luke, and the nuns see it, or the people working for the nuns, and the nuns basically grab Luke and try and get the ornament thing. Now, basically, they're after this thing to open up the Gorgons, a legend from the Greeks. There was 3 Gorgons, and now there's only 1 left. And basically opening a portal so that the rest of their world can rule Earth. And if you look at this Gorgon, it will basically turn you into stone, like the legend says. Maria's dad gets turned into statue as well, and then Maria's mom sees it and thinks that Sarah Jane's mad and got a statue of Maria's dad, and no one believes her. Maria obviously saves her dad, putting the ornament onto her dad and saving the day. We have the old lady, of course, the Gorgons, the sisters that help the Gorgon and being controlled by the Gorgon to do as they will. Maria's mom arguing with Maria, causing problems and arguing with her dad. So we get her family life scenarios that make her more real and make her family more one of the best family members from Sarah Jane. Anyway, generation old, Gorgon's really old. The lady, just checking my notes to keep me on track. The portal opening up, of course, and then it got stopped by Sarah Jane, and reversing it with the mirror. This old lady gave the mirror to Maria. Say that. Maria gave him the mirror. I can't say it. Forget it. So basically the mirror reflected and changed the Gorgon and looking at themselves, and it destroyed her and destroyed others to get the portal destroyed. And that was it. 6 out of 10. The Warrior of Kuldak. I can't say the name, but you know, this villain actually appeared in Doctor Who in the Pandora Opens, if you want to know, and has appeared in another story that I forgot about, and has also appeared in Nightmare in Silver as well. So it's appeared quite a few times, but never been a main villain in Doctor Who. Whereas this, it's been in the Sarah Jane Adventures, and they're having a war with another race, and this computer's controlling everything, but he doesn't think as a computer, so he's obeying. And we also have this horrible human as well that works there. Laser tag. They use warriors to see how well they do in laser tag, and then steal the kids that play laser tag and send them off to a spaceship ready to fight in their war. And later on we see this boy that's gone missing. We see the other side of it, the mom crying loss over a boy, and then at the end, of course, everyone saves the day and the boy sees the mom again. It's all a happy ending, but we get to see that sadness that Sarah Jane can produce about the parents as well. Also, there's a nice little nod, I would say, to bullying. Luke made a joke about this boy and nickname, and didn't realise that his dad actually passed away from the fighting in the actual war. So the name that Clyde actually made for this boy is actually a bad thing, and it just shows a bit of bullying, you know. It teaches kids not to do it, and sort of name calling, which I liked. A moral of the story, you could say. The alien Koldak basically following the computer's demands, and then Sarah Jane reveals that no, actually this computer's not real, and the war finished 10 years ago, and he's been picking up kids for no reason, and he's upset, and all he wanted was the war to end. So he went back and saved Sarah Jane, and they all got back okay, and destroyed the computer, and basically all the kids that he sent on that war, he's going to save them and send them back to Earth, and it's all happy days. Clyde and Luke were in laser tag, of course, and they got stuck, and then we found a group of kids, and then Luke was trying to get rid of them, and then Sarah Jane managed to get on board the ship, threatening that horrible human, and save the day by reversing and finding out the computer. I think it's an 8 out of 10. Solid story. Last 2 stories now of the series. Whatever happened to Sarah Jane Smith? This is an interesting one. We have this cuboid sort of thing. Looks a bit like the Pandorica, if you want to think. And we'll play in a later series 2 as well. So it's an interesting one. But yes, the cuboid thing, and Sarah Jane gave to Maria. And Maria was holding it, and then something happened to Sarah Jane, and she got reversed, and someone else took her place. Just checking my notes. I can't remember the person that took Sarah Jane's life, but it was Sarah Jane's best friend, and she died. But before she died, the trickster, come with me, I can help you sort of scenario, putting Sarah Jane to die instead of the friends, is dark and very interesting, to grab you at the last moments of your life and making a deal with you. And that's what he did. He made this other person survive and put Sarah Jane to die and fall. And we get to see a young Sarah Jane as well, and we get to see how amazing she's a nice person even when she was little. We also have Maria get taken by time because she's causing too much problems with the woman that stole Sarah Jane's life. And then Maria's dad's holding the cube, so he only one that remembers, and manages to kind of convince people to save the day in a way. We have the trickster just learning that he wants chaos. He wants to create chaos, and that's his goal, to create chaos. And that's the whole thing we learn about him, the trickster brigade and stuff like that. Oh yes, there's a meteor, and there's no big deal because Mr. Smith can sort it out. But there's no Mr. Smith. There's no K9. There's no... Clyde doesn't remember hanging around with Maria because there's no Sarah Jane for this to ever happen. So basically, the meteor's going to hit Earth and everyone's going to die. So they need to hurry up and persuade the woman to stop agreeing with the trickster. And she does. She stops agreeing with the trickster. The trickster is defeated and goes off. And he can't just kill people himself. He has to make a demand and agree. We also get the Grask, a lovely thing that we'll play on later on in the Sarah Jane Adventures. The Grask. I love a good Grask. They're as good as the Ood in my opinion. Good villains for Sarah Jane Adventures. Yes, and then we also get her saying no and she going back to her death, but accepting it. And Sarah Jane and Maria's saved, Luke's suddenly reborn and teleported or whatever you will, and everything's happy days. 8 out of 10, solid story. Now we have The Lost Boy, the last episode of Series 1, and then next week we'll be doing Series 2, so stick around for next week. But yeah, let's get on to the last episode of the series. The Lost Boy. Basically, Mr. Smith has turned evil and has this crystal. We learn how Mr. Smith is made. He's a crystal and he's trying to get something from underground Earth and get his people and stuff like that still. And he's still in contact. And the whole idea is to destroy Earth and try and get what he needs to do. Mr. Smith is also made up as a computer and sort of thing like that. And we see Sarah Jane's origin with Mr. Smith, you could say. Luke is stolen by Mr. Smith, apparently, by breaking news, and we learn later on that they're not actually his parents all along like the news is saying, and Sarah Jane got arrested, but UNIT managed to break Sarah Jane out. She has high contacts in demand. I like the reference. We also get Maria's dad putting the house on sale. He doesn't want Maria dealing with Sarah Jane anymore, but then gets persuaded otherwise to let it still continue. And Maria's mom calls the police on Sarah Jane to get her arrested over the Luke situation. And Luke manages to escape and run back to Mr. Smith. However, a lot of stuff has managed to happen before he broke out. We learn that the Sladen are actually Luke's parents in disguise at the moment. They're pretending to be his parents. And the Sladen are working with Mr. Smith. And you want to learn why is Mr. Smith like this. I love that the whole plot arc with this finale. It's a really good one. I felt like we had a plot arc and a brilliant finale with the trickster, but we got an even better one with this. And we get to see Sarah Jane stealing stuff and going rogue and trying to hurt Maria and call her names to get her away because she feels like she'll put her in danger. I like that aspect. We have Clyde trying to see the parents and wouldn't let him, and then Clyde gets taken by Mr. Smith, but Mr. Smith isn't a bad person, so he teleports him back. Luke's destroying the Earth with the moon because Mr. Smith's put a trap and tricking him, and then the Sladen help and work with Sarah Jane. And yeah, there's a little boy called Nathan, and it's an irritating little boy. Oh, I really hate that kid. I hated him as a kid. I remember hating him as a kid, and then I forgot he even existed until I watched this episode and was like, oh, I'm getting flashbacks. Not good flashbacks. Oh, yeah, the little brat. Yes, Maria's dad gets a message off Clyde and tries to warn Sarah Jane, and Sarah Jane and the Sladen work, and the Sladen teleport away, and blah, blah, blah. And K9 is shooting Mr. Smith. That was a lovely scene. K9's back for a little scene, blasting Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith is destroyed and then rebuilt again, ready to work properly for for Sarah Jane this time. And everything's back to normal. Sladen are gone for now. Maria's dad is still on the streets, and the mom is just okay. The world was ending. We see hurricanes because of the moon, sort of thing, which is science and history. You can teach kids about the moon, sort of thing. And Maria gets to stay on Ballerman Road with Luke being with Sarah Jane as she's meant to be, and looking up at the stars. What a brilliant way. And I would say Series 1 was a success and a brilliant way to end the series. I'm going to give this story a 9 out of 10. And I'm going to give the series overall a 9 out of 10. It's not brilliant, it's not perfect, but it was certainly good, and it was a successful series in my eyes. So well done to Sarah Jane Series 1. Join me next Saturday at 12 o'clock for my review of Series 2. And then Series 3, then Series 4, and then Series 5. And then we're going on to the classic era, Classical August. So there's a lot to come on the channel. So stick around for more Sarah Jane, stick around for more Doctor Who in August. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Have a nice day.